Uncensored, no holds barred talk. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This is the Global Reality Radio Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another live edition of the Global Reality right here on the Global Reality Radio Network. I'm your host, Josh Reeves. Thanks for being here with us tonight for another late-night Moonbat edition of the broadcast. I apologize for starting even later tonight. I'm thankful you guys are sticking with me. I was, but it was all for the best, I think. I was trying to get the audio here on the network stream for my microphone to sound better, because I noticed it last night. I listened to the archive. There was weird audio things coming in, and it sounded kind of distorted. I mean, I don't know, it didn't sound right. And I was thinking, I just got this brand new preamp. It should be kicking very well and sounded good and everything. So, what gives? So, I think what it was is I had these little 8-inch jack, connectors going into the network's special effects sound great. What do you mean? I don't have any special effects. What special effects are you talking about? Now I'm worried. Oh shit. What special effect is it? What's it sound like? Oh my god. Now I'm totally fucking freaking out. What's going on? Spatial? Okay. So it sounds like there's, does it sound like there's reverb on it? Is that what you're saying? Oh, well, here we go. We're beta testing this shit on air. I was testing it with Man Hydra before the show. He said it sounded crystal clear, so I don't know if anything is changed. No reverb? Okay. But does it sound better than last night? I mean, because I was hearing, you guys didn't hear that? You didn't hear all those frequencies and all that weird stuff coming in? Because I don't hear any of that now. But somebody said there's special effects on there. Is there still special effects on there? Spatial effects, okay. Sounds like you're sitting right next to me. Yeah, it should. It should have got a decent mic, decent preamp. I mean, it should all sound pretty good. But where I'm going into an actual audio interface preamp now into the stream, as before I was just going from a little 1/8-inch headphone jack into the sound card of the computer. And from what I understand, this type of preamp, when you're using this type of preamp, you can't do that because you'll get hum and buzz. And I certainly was getting a lot of hum and buzz on my end, and now I'm getting zero. It's crystal clear, and so the music before the show even sounded better. So I'm going to go with it, and hopefully I'll check the archive. If it's not up to my standards, I'll try to change it again. But I also think that this is fixed. I know John Doe in the chat room. John's been listening. One of those guys has been listening for a lot of years. John used to always say that the music was louder than the vocals. Well, John, I think this has fixed that problem, buddy. I think that I'm looking at the VU meter now, because I'm hitting right below the red now, and last night the green was barely even getting up. So I think we got this fixed. But if it sounds good to you guys, then that's all I need to know. So thanks to everybody for being patient in there while I try to get this to sound. Because, I mean, we got a new preamp and everything. It's a pretty damn nice preamp. So there was, when I was hearing that coming out of the archive last night, I was like, oh, this is not good. Should not be sounding like that, And that's when I was like, oh, man, I looked at how I had this. I had forgotten I'd absolutely rigged this shit. Some of you guys may remember me talking about it when I first set the network up. I mean, I rigged this motherfucker 8 ways to Sunday to get it going because there was people on different networks that I used to be on that when I would, because I originally, when TrueNet Radio went down, and that's when I originally had the idea to get to start a new network and stuff, and everybody was always telling me, oh, it's too difficult, you wouldn't be able to do it and all this stuff. I'm like, I don't know. I know my way around computers pretty well. It can't be too hard, but I kind of let people convince me that it would be, hard. And then when I decided to start this network, I found out how damn easy it was. But I jerry-rigged the thing 8 ways to Sunday to get it going. I think now that it's not jerry-rigged anymore, it definitely going to be sounding a lot better. Because, I mean, we're broadcasting in 128K here. For free, by the way. A lot of networks, they give you a 64-bit and you pay for their, subscription or whatever it is, and you get the 128K. Nope, here you get the 128K absolutely free all the time. So bear that in mind when you're listening. I have ears, so I want to be able to hear the music crystal and stuff. You know what I mean? This is a Tuesday edition of the broadcast. It is March 20th into the March 21st, 2012. And to be honest with you, I mean, I'd spent a lot of time for the show, or actually so much time before the show, more time than I'd intended to spend trying to get the just this this thing sounding right and all that. Well, lo and behold, there actually wasn't a whole lot of material, not a whole lot of news. So, kind of worked out in our favor tonight that that we started late, but. What we're going to do tonight is we're going to get into some news. We're going to get into some emails. We're going to do that all here in the first segment of the broadcast tonight. Then we get through all the news and all the emails, and we're going to get into the End of Days with Zachariah Sitchin. We're almost completed with that book. And we'll be moving on to other readings and requests of books to read that people have been sending in, and I've got a bunch of them, so we're going to be just tearing through books and continuing to do that. And I started doing that on air, I guess, back in like 2008, reading books and stuff. And it was another one of those things that surprisingly, I don't know why, but I mean, you wouldn't think anybody would have a problem with that. But just again with that, I mean, something as simple as that, people were giving me shit, about reading books on air. And then when I read, Vera Stanley Alder's The Finding of the Third Eye on air. And that I didn't hear anybody talk shit about me reading books on air anymore. But I get a lot from it. Personally for me, I get a lot from reading the books on air. And, obviously from the emails and the messages I've gotten from all you enjoy and get stuff from it as well. And it's just a different vibe and a different, a different type of, you take the information and process it differently I do when I'm reading it in front of an audience, number one, and I'm in that mode, because oftentimes, if I'm reading a book at home and I'm reading stuff, I've either got to remember what it is, if I find something, oh man, I got to remember to talk about that on the show, but I'm reading the rest of the book and maybe I forget, what my point was or where that was. And so you'll get a whole bunch of those, and I'll just oftentimes come across things I want to talk about on air, and then you lose your place, or you can't remember where that piece of info was, or that tidbit was. So that's been a fantastic thing for me, has been to be able to have those oh shit and aha moments with all of you here on air on the show. So that's why I continue to read the books and get into that. I think it's become an integral part of the broadcast, and especially since a lot of these stuff people have requested. I mean, all the books that I've read from, especially the Sitchin stuff, that was all requests from listeners, But I felt also that it was, stuff like that, because it had been so considered to be so taboo to look into any of that stuff, that, I warranted looking into more and more for me, especially after the connections and things I found with the priest class, the religion controllers, the keepers of the secret knowledge, secret societies, the Jesuit order, all of that stuff. And then, finding out that, this is why it's important. I did, watch that clip. That was, that somebody had sent that I talked about last night. And yeah, they had some, Sumerian artifacts that were found, confiscated, and then they were held within the vault of the World Trade Centers. And they had all kinds of stuff in there. Mass amounts of drugs, mass amounts of gold, money, cash, and apparently the Sumerian artifacts. And so it does appear that a big part of 9/11 was indeed, there's so many reasons and so many mechanisms behind why they did it. And that's what's hard to wrap your mind around sometimes, is people try to nail down 9/11, the reason they did it, to one specific reason. But when you really research it and look at it, they did it for a multitude of reasons, and that's exactly how you know it's a black op. Doesn't matter if there were planes or no planes or anything else like that. That's the side stuff to get you distracted and keep you wrapped up in bullshit and running on a hamster wheel endlessly until the end of time. Never getting anywhere, but constantly going over the same old ground over and over and over and over again. Whereas when you look at it from the aspect of none of the operations that this world order does, they don't do any of this stuff unless they have what I call a multiple tiered effect, where you can get a variety of outcomes and a variety of solutions out of one event. And certainly to be able to, there's just so many, when you look at the occult surroundings of 9/11, especially with the numerology, with the fact that it was the two towers that they referred to as, the two towers of Jachin and Boaz that go back to the Sumerian stuff. Don't you think that's, they also called them Nelson and David as well. Enlil, Enki, whatever you want to call it. That's what those two towers represented. They even brought in occultic architects to design the World Trade Center towers. Paul Vallely, who's a World Trade Center, who's brought in on the team, but they didn't use his designs because they were too out there for him. But that guy swears up and down it was 19 Arab hijackers, but he also swears up and down that he heard them talking about pre-planning explosives in the building when the World Trade Centers were built. But that wasn't something they told everybody about, because Sally Soccer Mom wouldn't want to go to her day job if she knew her building might be dangerous. So, little things like that. But it does appear, especially with the symbology and the numerology, and then you look at the fact these artifacts were there, and then just a short time later, they get us all to believe that somehow Saddam Hussein had something to do with 9/11, and we had needed to go get him before he came and got us, and he had weapons of mass destruction. So, boom, we get behind that, and boom, what's the first thing they do? They go in and go into the Iraq National Museum, going right past all of the decoys and all the replicas and going right to the vault, going and taking the good stuff. And that was really a game-changing piece of information for me. With everything else I've researched and known, to find out that there's, that there admittedly were artifacts there, and they said they were recovered from the rubble. But no mention, and I can't find anything about where they went, where they are, who has them, but all they said was they were recovered from the rubble. So if those were being held in the same vault, presumably the same vault as the gold and the rest of this stuff, which we know it was, because in the basement of the World Trade Centers, you had this massive vault that the DEA used and the CIA used, and it was a big. They stored everything, and it was a huge, gigantic walk-in vault. Safety deposit boxes in there, cash, gold, precious metals, drugs, pounds and pounds of drugs, and these Sumerian artifacts. Now, what I've been thinking is that, there's been a lot of attention put on the testimony of William Rodriguez and others who claimed that they heard explosions in the basement prior to the towers hitting, and that's always been associated with controlled demolitions, because in a controlled demolition, that's exactly what you do. You blow out the basement first, and then you crack it at the top, and then the rest of the floors come down in succession after that. But what I'm postulating, what I'm putting forward here, is that could it have been that initial explosion in the basement prior to the planes hitting the towers? Could that have been explosives that were planted on the vault to where they had this thing timed with military precision to where when they blew the vault, within just minutes or seconds or however long it was, you had the planes coming at the buildings and flying into the buildings? It very well could be. Because once those planes went in, nobody was going to be fucking worried about what was happening on the bottom floor. It was just get the hell out, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Or whatever hit it, if you don't believe it was planes, and, then when the laser beams hit it, whatever, whatever suits your fancy. But my point is that whatever went on up there, whether it was planes or no planes or what have you, that was the big show. So the main event was cracking that vault, blowing the vault, and look at Building 7 as well. I mean, there was a heist there. They were covering tracks there as well because they had all those Enron documentations in there. They had the UFO before the tower shut down. Well, yeah, what about those demonic faces in the smoke and all that stuff? I mean, were there a bunch of Dejin bottles in there as well? Is that why there was demonic faces in the smoke? I mean, it's funny, there's 2 years later, they're cracking the vault in Iraq, and there's all the Dejin bottles. I bet very well could have been, maybe that's what that was. But yeah, I mean, they were covering tracks, and we know for a fact that if they recovered those artifacts, which they admit that they did, but they don't admit where they went, that means that somebody was able to be in the same location where the gold and all the rest of the stuff was. So somebody made out. Somebody made out for sure. But yeah, that's interesting stuff. Somebody in the chat room there before the show was saying that their milk tastes like plastic. I got to tell you, I don't know what's happened. I haven't talked about this on air yet, but I think something is going on with plastics. Because I can't even, I tell you what, I can't drink anything or get anything with it that has plastic anymore, because it happened to me. I thought I was going crazy because it happened to me 7 or 8 times. And everything from like tea at the store with a plastic bottle, I'd get it, and it tastes like dioxin. I mean, plastic, dioxin, that's what it tastes like. I'll get, you get out and drink out of a plastic cup. And it'll start to taste like that. I know stuff, you keep stuff in plastic bags sometimes, and it gives it this taste. I don't know, man. I think they're putting more and more chemicals and more estrogen stuff up, estrogen exciters and all this stuff. I just stay away from all of it. I'm really trying to eat better and drink. But I don't know what it is. I guess I'm getting older and my palate's changing again. Because I mean, I just can't even tolerate drinking out of plastic. I mean, look, the elite don't eat and drink out of plastic at all. Watch their news conferences. Watch stuff from C-SPAN. And anytime you see these high-level fuckers, they're all drinking out of water pitchers that are either glass or metal. When I went to the Freedom 21 conference thing in 2008, where I got some of the footage from the Secret Volume 1, and part of the day at this conference was the luncheon with Phyllis Schlafly. Yes. And I couldn't fucking hardly choke it down, and I was eating a sandwich, And I talked to Jerome Corsi about an hour or so before this, just, and asked him about the CMP, oh, yeah, I'm in there, yeah, all right, have a good one. And I was standing there eating my ham sandwich, and, I feel somebody walk up behind me, and, how somebody will walk up behind you, kind of grab you, squeeze your shoulder a little bit, like they're saying hi, and I look back, and somebody was squeezing my shoulder, and look back, and it was fucking Corsi. He was standing over me like a goddamn vampire, like Bela Lugosi or something. It scared the fuck out of me. I thought I was getting pinched. It's like, what the fuck? They're about to choke to death like Mama Cass on my ham sandwich because fucking Corsi's squeezing my fucking shoulder. And the thing I noticed at this luncheon was all of everything. I mean, number one, the food was fantastic. I mean, I don't know whether they were fucking getting this stuff from, Chinese stem cells or whether it was, Merovingian baby's blood. I don't know what they were serving in there, but man, I've never had lunch meat like that. I don't know. It was sandwiches. It was just the quality. I don't know where they were buying their cuts at, but it seems to be a grade higher than I can get, even if I go to the most expensive, health food grocery store there is. Literally better than that. Everything was on glass, and everything was. They had water pitchers that were metal. I mean, it was just insane. But yeah, I mean, oh man, no GMO at all. No, it was you could definitely tell that it was very highbrow. I saw the weirdest thing. One of the weirdest things I've ever seen. Phil Schlafly, me and my sister were sitting at the bar. We'd been chasing Republicans all day. We were exhausted, so we were in this hotel where this was happening. So we go to the hotel bar and we get a beer, and we sit down and get a beer, and lo and behold, there's fucking Queen Reptile, Queen Merovingian blue blood on both sides of her family. She's Stewart and Bruce bloodline. She's sitting not 10 feet from us on this couch in the hotel bar. And I'm freaking out because Phyllis Schlafly's right. I mean, she's in striking distance, dude. Choking distance. You know what I mean? God damn. I could have hit her in the fucking gullet with a salad fork from where I was sitting. It wasn't even, oh man, it would have been a fucking turkey shoot. I could have nailed her with a cocktail olive on a fucking toothpick right in the eye, dude. I mean, I was choking distance. I could have choked that bitch. I could have took her out. I swear to God, her skin would have peeled off like the fucking chicken V, and she'd have unhinged her jaw and ate a gerbil. Ugh. But I saw the strangest thing. She had her handler. She had her handler with her, and her handler was talking to somebody on a cell phone, and I heard her handler say, "Oh, I heard Michelle's going to be at the meeting in September," and I knew they were having a CMP meeting around that time. It ended up being the one that they had the week of the RNC, or the DNC. They had one in Minnesota. And of course, Michelle Bachmann is from where? Minnesota, right? So I knew that was going on. I heard her say, "Oh, Michelle's going to be at the meeting in September." And I knew immediately when I heard her say that she was talking about the CMP meeting in Minnesota, and Michelle meant, Michelle, you know who. But anyway, so her handler gives the phone to Phyllis Schlafly to let Phyllis Schlafly talk about the CMP to whoever she's talking to on this other end. It was obvious she was talking about the CMP. I mean, Michelle Bachmann, Minnesota, blah, blah, blah. And so she hands Phyllis Schlafly the phone, and I see her handler kind of look over at us, and then she takes her hands. I can't describe it. It was like a hand tent, a hand cover. She took her hands and wrapped her hands around Phyllis Schlafly's face so that we couldn't read Phyllis Schlafly's lips and see what she was saying. I have never in my life seen anything like that. It was bizarre. And it was obvious that, that's what was going on, that she was making sure nobody could read her lips and see what she was saying. Or maybe, maybe when she starts to say certain things, her little forked red little, reptile tongue comes out. Maybe she didn't want us to see that. I don't know. But that was one of the most bizarre things besides, of course, the story I've told a million times of, Tom DeLay's fucking eyes rolling over black when we met him. That guy's straight up fucking not of this earth. I don't know what he is, a reptilian or whatever, but he's not human. And you, regardless of what you think about that stuff, regardless of whether or not you think it's real, because I didn't used to think it was real either until I fucking saw it for myself. And there are people walking around us that I don't know what they are. I don't know if they're demons in human bodies. I don't know if they're aliens. I don't know if they're reptiles. I don't know what the fuck they are. I really don't. But I do know for a fact there are people walking among us that are not like you and I. And a lot of them are in high-level positions. Let's see what we have in the email bag here tonight. Let's see. All right, here's one from Ryan. It says, hey, Josh, how do we know for sure that the Jesuits or the Illuminati are taking orders from a deeper power not on or from this planet? It makes sense, but come on, we got to dig deeper and start breaking that barrier. I know we feel like we have hit a dead end, but there's got to be something you can elaborate more on in regards to this idea or fact. I don't know what more you want me to say about it. Maybe you should do your own homework and do your own researching on this and try to find your own pieces. You know, if you don't like where the current state of research and knowledge is, then by God, take it into your own fucking hands and do something about it yourself and start researching and put your life into this. Dedicate your life to doing this. That's the only way you're going to find answers. You're not going to find answers sending an email to somebody like me, a radio talk show host, and asking me, telling me that I need to go deeper for you. You need to go deeper for yourself, dude. I'm not here to give you all the answers, and I'm not here to tell you everything there is to know. I'm not going to do let me make this abundantly clear, because I get emails about this all the time, and I guess I need to do this periodically, because people who have listened to my show for a while know this, so I don't ever have to say this, but we get new listeners all the time, so I need to make this clear. I am not here to do your homework for you. I'm here to give you the tools and the leads, and with everything that I know and everything I've researched, hopefully enough information that will spawn you to keep researching and digging and finding more of your own information and broaden this thing yourself. I'm not taking on the work of all of this by myself. Fuck that. That's not what my job is. My job is not to do all the homework and do all the research for you and provide you with all the answers when allowing you not to have to do anything of your own work or research or your own thing or anything else. No, that's not what this is about. That's not what I do. There are other people out there that want to do that, but I don't do that. And I'm not going to do that. I mean, all I can tell you is that if you're not happy with the answers, I mean, look, we can identify things in the material realm that we can quantify and find out exist. You know how many people there are that are involved in this world power structure whose names are not researchable and not found on the internet? I mean, everything that can be known and is true is not always hot linkable and in an easily digestible package form on the internet somewhere. There are guys who are involved in this whose names we will never know and whose names you will never find if you go and look them up on the internet. I've talked to people who have told me names of people that have been in big dealings and stuff, and you go and look up their names, and you can't hide their hair or their names anywhere on the internet. One, because these guys, when they get to the highest levels, they operate and nobody knows who they are. So, short of being in one of these intelligence agencies, there's just a lot that we're probably not ever going to know. But I choose to expose the areas in the ends that I choose to expose, because those areas don't even, for the most part, get any attention, because everybody's trying to tell you, oh, look over here, this is who really it is. You know, it's the bankers, it's this over here, it's that over there. It's a fact that this whole thing goes well beyond just our little 3-dimension here, and our 3-dimensional realm we can perceive with our limited carbon-based meat suits. But that is not all that is real and all that can be known. But there are limits to things that you can know within this realm, within this life, within this dimension. I mean, the Freemasons believe that you can achieve the highest realms of Freemasonry on Earth, the 32nd degree, you can go all the way up to the top. But in order to go any higher, you have to die. And when you die, you are able to go to the next. Alice Bailey talked about this in her books and her writings, in theosophical stuff. That then you go to the next lodge, which is located on Sirius B, and then you become an adept all over again, and you climb up the ranks and the realms and go on to the other degrees that are not obtainable on Earth, because supposedly there's, according to many Freemasons, there's actually 360 degrees of Freemasonry total, but only 32 of those, 33rd degree is an honorary degree. You don't have to go through the other degrees to get that. It's an honorary degree given by the Masons. But only 32 degrees or 33 degrees are obtainable on Earth. The other ones you have to obtain in other realms. This is what they believe, and when you research Rosicrucians and Freemasons and you understand what it is they really know and what their secret really is, and if you don't know what the true secret of the Rosicrucians and the Freemasons is, then let me go ahead and tell you, because this is an absolute fact. And I've said this to Freemasons and people like that before and watched them turn beet red and shit their pants because I know this. But their big kick and their big thing that they offer for joining the club is essentially how to transcend the death of the physical body. That's their whole thing. Rosicrucians knew about it. Freemasons knew about it. Pythagoras knew about it before then. Of course, he got that from the Egyptians, who in turn got it from the Sumerians and the Akkadians and the Babylonians and on and on, because there were all these custodial societies set up by the Anunnaki and whatnot, the gods. And the Rosicrucian symbol is the rosy cross, and what that represents, the rosy cross in Freemasonry, the roses on the cross, it represents the soul being crucified upon the body. You understand what I'm talking about here? Spiritual enslavement, soul entrapment. We are entities, our souls are entities that have been trapped down into dense matter, I believe, by high technology. And this is what the Freemasons, the Rosicrucians, the secret societies themselves know how to do, and that is, they know how to transcend the death of the physical body and go on to other realms and other higher dimensions without being caught up and distracted and then incarnating back down on Earth into another body. And there's all these traps. You can read, I mean, this is talked about for thousands of years. Tibetan Book of the Dead talked about this 5,000 years ago, 3,000 years ago. About not being distracted after death and how all these things are set up so that you'll incarnate back down onto Earth. And that's how they keep this thing perpetuating, is by lying to people about, the white light, and lying to people about all this stuff so that they perpetuate it and get people to come down. Well, the Buddhists, a lot of the secret societies, the Rosicrucians, Theosophists, they all have this information. It's one of the most coveted pieces of information because they didn't want, essentially they knew that if everybody had access to this knowledge, this was one of the reasons for the secrecy of secret societies in the first place, that there would be nobody incarnating back here on the planet in this physical realm, and there would be nobody to rule over in the physical realm. So these guys are keeping the secrets of how to go into the other realms all to themselves. How you do that and how you attain it is another thing. I don't know all that. But there is more to this than any of us will ever know. And if you ever, to expect that somebody like me is supposed to give you all the answers, You're barking up the wrong tree, man. Hate to have to break it to you. I just don't have anything else to say to you. So there you go. Do your own work. Do your own homework. Don't tell me I need to be giving you this info or you should be looking, this and that and the other. You need to be doing your own homework and your own research. I'm not here to do your homework for you. Another guy had, and see, this sounds like a great idea, but I mean, obviously this person, I guess, hasn't seen either one of the Secret Right movies, so I'm kind of confused with that. Josh, have you ever considered releasing a short 10 to 15 minute video on the phony Patriot movement? No, because I've released 2 full-length movies about it. If this was done properly, it could go viral in a short time. You could even format it as a type of trailer for your Secret Right series. There's no way you can sum that whole thing up in 10 or 15 minutes, man. There's no way. I mean, I've talked about that stuff endlessly on shows. If somebody out there wants to go through some of the shows and cut out a little 10 or 15 minute video for that, then do that. But, okay, never mind. I just got my question answered here. Having recently started listening to your show, okay. I've noticed you have really crystallized the idea that they are simply radicalizing the Christian right of America just as they do any group they want to justify annihilating later. With this basic thesis is put forth so directly, it makes the roles of Paul and Jones much more easily recognizable for what they are. Without the understanding of this radicalization process, it is very easy for people to fall prey to the psychological tactics used against them. I believe this message needs to spread far and wide and could best do so in the short video clips that YouTube was designed for. Well, I mean, oh man, you're just damned if you do and you're damned if you don't in this kind of thing. Because I'm not really going for that. I made 2 full-length films on the phony Patriot movement and that whole thing, and I've been researching that and exposing that for almost 5 years now. Started in 2007, found out about the CMP and started exposing it then. So, there's lots of shows out there. I mean, again, that's something you could do. You should make it your own 10 to 15 minute video on the phony Patriot movement. Go and listen through archives that are out there of my shows. Archive.org has a bunch. There's a bunch on YouTube. There's a bunch on my channel. I mean, I'm just kind of, I'm not in the doing the work on that into things right now. I mean, I guess always talking about it and always still into it and whatever, and I'll do radio shows about it if somebody wants to interview me about it or something. But my area of research right now and the films and stuff, the stuff that I'm doing right now, I'm moving to the next level of things. And so we're progressing now from the CMP and the phony Patriots up now and showing you how they've lied about the information and given half-truths and not given the whole picture and what they've excluded and who these people are and why they need to be questioned and what they're connected to. And now moving into, okay, now let's get into the stuff they won't touch. Now let's, here's the stuff they won't get into. Here's the topics they won't touch. Now, since we've established who these people are and why they won't get into that kind of information, now let's get into all the information they don't want to talk about. That's where I'm at right now. So, again, many hands make light work. And I've already got a full plate with projects and work for the show and everything else. What we need, what we always need more of is cash and money to operate. That would help us tremendously. That would be able to get us to be able to do more and do more of these things. I definitely will be revisiting and making probably at least another installation of the Senior Right eventually. But for right now, where I'm at right now on this stuff, it's important for me to keep digging deeper and getting into the how and the why and the who and really getting into the deeper aspects and elements of this, because that's the answers that we need if we're ever going to be able to formulate any kind of a solution. Everybody always wants to know what the solution is. How do you fix this stuff? How do you fix it? What's the magic bullet? What do we do? And the only thing that main weapon we have and will continue to have, and we continue to use it and push for it, is information. But it's a weapon against us when we have a lack of it. But we just don't have all the answers and all the information right now to even formulate what a proper plan of action is against this stuff. Because we just flat don't know the whole truth. Let's see. This one says, where did I leave off? This is from, what's this person? Oh, Lori. Lori says, hi, Josh. Last night, some pieces of the puzzle seem to have fallen into place on what's going on in this world. Not saying this is 100% right, but the pieces sure seem to fit. Let's look at pieces of the puzzle. Obama, black president with his birth certificate in the media all the time. Peoples of some of the African countries love and back him because he's born from them. Obama passing these bills lately. Our troops as well as European troops in Africa. Leaders of these countries being overthrown. Coney video getting people behind the military to go in even more African countries. If you check out the list of names on the Coney vid, Gaddafi was at the bottom. All the rest look to be male black Africans. Madonna doing a ritual involving what is portrayed as people from the African continent at the Super Bowl. Whitney Houston, person of African descent, as a sacrifice to appease the gods so they can further the slaughter, although it's said it was supposed to be her virgin daughter. Not sure about that yet. Queen Elizabeth buying up property around the area of the Denver airport. The Prince and his wife coming to America several times this past year. The area of Denver, Colorado. Look closely and you will see on MapQuest all the names of the surrounding areas of names of England's cities. Yeah, that's common in the U.S., but the Queen buying property around there and the names themselves is what made it click. The North Pole is shifting into Europe. It's moving faster and faster. Where are all those people going to go? The Africa and the U.S. If you see the TV show The Event, the show started out with the aliens in a snowbound tundra. Further along into the show, their planet was going to be destroyed, so they had to try and depopulate the Earth to make room for their people. At one point, they used a half-breed human alien to morph a virus so it would act slower on the population in which they were going to spread it by the way of putting it on money, food, and airplanes. It was a race-specific virus. We all know the genocide of people of color has been ongoing. Now it seems that there is going to be another Christopher Columbus takeover of another country full of brown people, possibly another stronger move for ethnic cleansing here in America, too. Although I don't believe they will care too much if they take out white people along with the brown. Anyways, those pieces of the puzzle are what fell into place last night. Lori. Well, thanks, Lori. Yeah, you may be onto something there. Maybe that is it. It's certainly, if that's true, I mean, you'd really have, you want to talk about a reset of the global economy. My goodness. They'd be able to run their whole thing all over again. Oh, man. Let's see what else we have. This is from Eddie. He says, hey, Josh, I've been listening to your show now for a few weeks, and I got to take my hat off to you as it is a great work. I only got the internet wired to the house 3 years ago. So I was behind on the cause of the world's problems for some time. As I am now 36 years old, but now always had a feeling things can always be improved in our societies, to say the least. But the real reason why I'm so compelled to get in touch with you is, and I must stress at this point, I'm not in the habit of emailing, as I'm not on any Facebook or the like. And I get the feeling from friends that I'm not normal as I don't use these means. But anyway, I'm doing my homework, and I've been spreading the word, hoping the ripples will make waves. While I was listening to Max Egan on the Crow House Radio Archives in conversation with Santos Bonacci, this is when I had a most synchronicistical event. As it not long, I've been listening to your shows on the All Roads Leading to Rome, and I'd been an avid listener to the Crow House for some time since getting the net, and Max Egan has been getting closer to Rome. But, dude, have you heard of Santos Bonacci? Yes, I have. Because this guy is pulling some truths out that resonate highly with me, but wondered if you've not seen his videos, please check it out. I think your work, Max Egan, Santos, and Dean Clifford's work is incredible, and may your names be long remembered for many years to come. I know I've only been listening to Global Reality for a few weeks, but I've got a lot to catch up on these roads in my job, and I know you're coming straight from the heart, brother. Anyways, hope to get your take on Santos and Max. By the way, tried getting your new film, and I know it's online, but I greet a lot of people, and I passed the movies around, but failed with PayPal. Trying again on Friday. Well, if you absolutely can't use PayPal, you can use the P.O. box, but PayPal is what we prefer. Trying again on Friday, and I'll try to get some flyers done for the Global Reality. And thanks for taking the time to read this, as it took me a very long time to type it. Keep up the great work, Josh, and I'll make sure that at least the northwest of England gets to know you and hopefully wake their sleeping asses up. Take care, man. Ed. All right. Well, thanks, Ed. I appreciate that. Great email there. Sean says, hey, John, you know what? I caught this last night, Sean. I was just thinking about it. I was like, yeah, but when you're up here blowing 9-0 sometimes, you say the wrong thing. But Sean says, hey, Josh, just to let you know, the League of Nations was attempted after World War I, not World War II. Yeah. I was just blowing and going, and I realized that I said the wrong thing later. You know how you do that. Also, do you think that the whole New Age movement will fall apart except for the diehard believers after nothing happens in 2012? Well, I think it's too early to say that, to be honest with you. You have to look at what the New Age stuff is just the same as any other religion or anything else. Some truth mixed with fiction, mixed with leaving out the context, it's been a pretty important part of their agenda, so I don't think it's going to go anywhere anytime soon, to be honest with you. There's one from John. He says, hi, Josh. I got 2 questions for you. I recently heard an interview between George Snorri and Richard Hoaxland. In it, Hoaxland was defending Freemasonry and how it is not evil. He also mentioned the secret society Shemsu, the followers of Horus. I think he portrayed them as good guys. I found the information on them on Wikipedia. Have you heard these guys? In your opinion, what is their role? Yeah, it's another secret society and another, it's all about worship of these different deities that went around setting themselves up as gods. But Hoaxland has defended Freemasonry for years. He's got a video where he says that Obama is the savior, and good Freemasons are working behind the scenes to bring Obama, the Messiah, out, and Hoaxland says he can prove it using quantum physics. The guy's fucking out of his goddamn mind. You can't believe anything comes out of his mouth. So I don't really know what else to tell you on the Shemsu thing. Also, I have continued my research into the jinns. I did an interesting book. I sent an interesting book to your email. I don't know if you received it, but here is an interesting part from the Quran, also mentioned in the book. He created man from clay, like potter's clay, and the jinn he created from the smokeless flame of fire. Then, which of the blessings of your Lord will you both deny? He is Lord of the 2 easts and the Lord of the 2 wests. Then, which of the blessings of your Lord will you both deny? What do you think he means by 2 easts and 2 wests? Well, it could mean a number of things. I would think that well, when you look in the Quran, it says about Allah, it calls Allah the Lord of Sirius. I mean, give me a break. So I would think that he's the Lord of the two easts and the Lord of two easts and the Lord of two wests would have something to do with being the Lord of our star, our sun, because sun rises in the east and sets in the west, and also being the Lord of another star, maybe Sirius, that also rises in the east and sets in the west, depending on where you are in relation to that star. So I would say, just from my own research, that's what it means. It means the Lord of two, which would be very interesting, considering what we've talked about with the reading from the end of days about how these gods and why their temples and everything were all they're not all lined to Sirius, but they're all lined to different constellations and things. And about how some of these locations may be stargates, and they point them and they build them in the direction of their planetary system, and their prophesied return on a certain date, probably on solstice or equinox. By the way, it is the equinox today, isn't it? The evil jinn war upon the earth was interrupted once at least. The unsuspecting hero was none other than the wise King Solomon, son of David, empowered by God and an instrument known as the Ring of Solomon. He was able to constrain and bind the 72 worst of those terrors in the bowels of the sea and other far reaches of the earth. Many others of the jinn were forced into slavery to help him establish his kingdom upon the earth. Briefly, the tables were turned on the ancient ones. A complete accounting of all that happening is unknown, for all the legends and stories conflict. One thing is certain: an actual record of those beings and records show of how to do what King Solomon did became one of the most sought-after secrets of the occult world. Right. Well, that's what the Templars had. The Templars had their hands on that. They excavated Solomon's temple and got that knowledge, because they were doing all kinds of stuff where they were channeling spirits and entities, probably the jinn. They were channeling them through severed heads. They'd cut somebody's head off. They called them Baphomet heads. And they'd cut their head off, and they would set it in the middle of a table, and they'd conjure a spirit through it and divulge information from it. And this is exactly why the Roman Catholic Church wanted the Templars shut down. And that was when they became the true sorcerers. And they've held that knowledge in secret since then. And that's what has allowed this power structure to stay in place this long, because their power hasn't been challenged, because no one's had the ability to be able to do that again, because they're keeping it under lock and key. Do you think they have the ring, or is it useless to them? Oh, I don't know. I really, really don't know. Let's see what else we have here. This is from Jack. He says, hey, Josh, as a gay man, I just wanted to run something by you. See what you think. Sorry it's so long. Like you, I am thoroughly convinced that most of the powerful Republican, fundamentalist, Christian, British royalty and powerful Catholics are closeted homosexuals, in addition to most of the most powerful military leaders. However, unlike you, I think maybe I'm interpreting you wrong. I don't think they ever want to make homosexuality acceptable or mainstream, mostly because it's such a powerful control mechanism, the ability to blackmail people into submission, in addition to the ability of offering it up as a benefit to those they want something from. In other words, homosexuality is much more valuable when it's taboo, not to mention it crosses all racial, class, family, etc. lines. I've also read that gay men invented civilization, given that they were much more free to create and innovate since they didn't have the burden of family. If that's true, what better way to ensure their power than by creating a secret society that only allows gay men, at the top anyway, and then by demonizing homosexuality, they keep out the average Joe Blow gays like me from rising to the ranks while keeping the breeders in line by defining masculinity in a certain way. For example, it's manly to watch football, an opiate, and be aggressive for population control, whereas intellectual males are considered rather unmanly, which keeps the majority of males uneducated. In a nutshell, I think mostly closeted gay men rule the world, but I don't think they were ever allowed to become totally acceptable by demonizing it. It ensures their power. Well, thanks, Jack. Great points. I appreciate having the perspective of a gay man because, I mean, you like to have perspectives from everybody, and it's good to hear that from, I've never gotten a response from somebody who's gay before, and to anything I've talked about. I really was just kind of throwing that out there as a possibility, not really as something I absolutely positively believe. But just, something I think is definitely possible. But I agree with all your points. It absolutely is that way. But I really do appreciate you being open-minded about, how I talk and everything. Because I'm not homophobic. I don't have anything against gay people at all. But I do have a tendency to get on tears about these, because I won't call anybody who's gay. I won't say anything derogatory about gays, to anybody else. But I will say some goddamn derogatory fucking shit about these homos that run the fucking planet. These guys that, because they parade around acting like they're fucking Mr. Family Man with a wife. And, I mean, meanwhile, they're in the closet now and doing dudes every night. I mean, it's just, come on. How are you gonna run groups, that are anti-gay when you're gay yourself? I mean, it's just retarded. But I'll get on a tear. Somebody got mad one time because I called George Bush a fag. He's a fag, Call him what they will, but no, I mean, yeah. And then one night I said something about, one time, I don't remember what, I said something about, I don't remember what it was. Somebody calling themselves conservative or something, and I said, yeah, that person's about as conservative as Jeff Gannon in a pair of pink, spandex or something, and I don't remember what it was. Somebody got butthurt about that. But, no, I mean, you're absolutely right. I don't know. I mean, maybe it is better in their benefit if they keep it a secret and keep it taboo. But, like that story you read last night, that definitely is, that was a case right there in the Roman Catholic Church where they tried to, try to get this boy to do gay stuff. And when he wouldn't do it, they castrated him and then called him a homo. And I think that has probably gone on more than we know. I mean, I've seen people do that kind of stuff where, they'll go around calling people homo and homo and homo this, and then, you find out some years later they really were a homo. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't know understand what the psychology behind that is, what the advantage to doing that is, but I think it's probably seems to be something that is inherent in our genes, and if they ever had to admit what the genetic root of that is, that it would bring up all sorts of questions, that they don't want to answer. So, good stuff there. Thanks for the perspective, Jack. I appreciate that. This is from Nick Sparrow. He says, stellar Japanese impression, my friend. Oh, ha, 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 thank you very much. Thank you for opening up about your childhood. That was deep and sincere. By sharing some of the moments in your life, whether it being good or bad, it allows your listeners to get back to their humanity. In an age where dehumanizing is on a grand scale, that's an admirable trait and a big reason why I've remained a listener going on 4 years. The DC nuke scenario article caused me to think one of the horrible but enlightening film Battlefield Earth, based on L. Ron Hubbard's book. And Denver, of all places on Earth, was established as the human processing facility. Yeah, I remember that. You mentioned New Orleans in the levees breaking. When I first began researching Blackwater and its connections, I came across an article about how Blackwater was hired by the Bronfman estate to guard their land. That was in Louisiana. Yeah, that was in New Orleans. No surprise there. I wasn't aware of Louisiana being such a big Jesuit stronghold until listening to you and rewatching JFK again. Clay Shaw walked away clean as a whistle. Knights of Malta, anyone? Ha-ha. The fleur-de-lis symbol is widely used in Louisiana. Why there, of all places? Well, it's black nobility, man. I mean, it's Illuminati. That's the fleur-de-lis. That's Merovingian. The symbol of the fleur-de-lis is the Merovingian bloodline symbol. There's a plaque in Dallas, in Dealey Plaza, that's real close to where the big obelisk is. And it's like a plaque of like some of the founders of Dallas, and it's got fleur-de-lis all over it, letting you know, then letting all people know who ever come to Dallas from now on into the future. People will know if they go into Dealey Plaza and look at that plaque that Dallas, like many other southern cities, was founded by the Merovingian bloodline, as all the religions were as well. I have a solution for pedophilia in the Catholic Church. Since a priest allegedly take an oath of celibacy, castration should be implemented. No more butt pirating for you. Yeah, just castrate them all. Fuck it, you know. Yeah, you're celibate anyway, right? That's you know what? Hey, there you go. Maybe that is a good solution, Nick. You guys are priests, right? You're supposed to be celibate anyway, right? You don't need that shit. Making fucking Pope sausage out of that motherfucker. Just grind it up. Parts is parts. The Pope will eat anything. We'll eat it on crackers like fucking pate. Oh, that is sick shit. Sick shit indeed. In China, let's go ahead and get into some news now. In China, millions make themselves at home in caves. Reporting from Yan'an, China, this is from the Los Angeles Times. Like many peasants from the outskirts of Yan'an, China, Ren Shoa was born in a cave and lived there until he got a job in the city and moved into a concrete block house. His progression made sense as he strove to improve his life, but there's a twist. The 46-year-old Ren plans to move back to a cave when he retires. More than 30 million Chinese people live in caves, many of them in the Shanxi province, where the Loess Plateau, with its distinctive cliffs of yellow porous soil, makes digging easy and cave dwelling a reasonable option. Well, so what if they live in caves? 30 million people live in caves? So what? That's cheap housing. I mean, shit, I'd live in a fucking cave if I could. If I had access, if I had the option, wouldn't you? I would, if I had the option to live in a cave. I mean, you know, as long as you could still have, you know, electricity and Wi-Fi and all that. I mean, you know, what are we talking about here? We're talking about modern amenities in a cave, right? I mean, I'm down with that. As long as I can bring the Wi-Fi and the computer and I still get some work done, I'll live in a cave. Fuck it. There aren't very many caves living around here. They frown on that around these parts. I don't know. It was just, 30 million people. Oh my God, 30 million people live in caves. Let's find a way to get those out of those caves and declare them to be a worldwide wildlife refuge. And we'll call eminent domain and say we need them to protect the inhabitants of the ancient races or something. I don't know. We'll make something up. These fuckers don't care anyway. Well, we're starting to see more and more about what all this bullshit TSA stuff was about. Of course, it's just like everything. To milk more money out of you and suck your bank account dry, just like everything else is designed to do. Work the job. Get this money so you can pay us all the money you get and run on that rat wheel till you die. Hate the full body scans, pat downs, or slow going at TSA airport security screening checkpoints. For $100, you can now bypass the hassle. The Transportation Security Administration is rolling out expedited screening at big airports called PreCheck. It has special lanes for background check travelers who can keep their shoes, belt, and jacket on, leave laptops and liquids in carry-on bags, and walk through a metal detector rather than a full body scan. The process now at 2 airlines and 9 airports is much how like screenings worked before the September 11th attacks. So you can pay them $100, which will then allow them to do a background check on you, which they shouldn't have to. You shouldn't have to give a background check to anybody to ride on a fucking plane. My God. So now this is how they're selling you on not having to go through the body scanners, which unzip your DNA and allow them to see your naked junk and all that stuff. So you pay us $100 and let us do a background check, and we'll make sure you get through there no problems. I mean, that's just, my God. That just says it all, doesn't it? I mean, what else is there to say? Midnight Climax. CIA's MK-Ultra LSD experiments in San Francisco. It's from Boing Boing. Newly released documents shed light on the San Francisco edition of the CIA's notorious MK-Ultra program, through which people were unwittingly given massive doses of LSD to see if the drug would be useful for brainwashing, which ran from 1953 to 1964. There's lots of details about MK-Ultra's work in New York City and Montreal, but the San Francisco operation has been shrouded in mystery. The newly classified documents form the springboard for a good investigative piece in San Francisco Weekly in which Troy Hooper speaks to Wayne Ritchie, one of the survivors of MK-Ultra's San Francisco operation. There were at least 3 CIA safe houses in the Bay Area where experiments went on. Chief among them was 225 Chestnut on Telegraph Hill, which operated from 1955 to 1965. The L-shaped apartment boasted sweeping waterfront views and was just a short trip up the hill from North Beach's rowdy saloons. Inside, prostitutes paid by the government to lure clients to the apartment served up acid-laced cocktails to unsuspecting Johns, while martinis swilling secret agents observed their every move. From behind a two-way mirror, recording devices were installed, some disguised as electrical outlets. To get the guys in the mood, the walls were adorned with photographs of tortured women in bondage and provocative posters from French artist Henri de Toussaint-Lautrec. The agents grew fascinated with the kinky sex games that played out between the Johns and the hookers. The two-way mirror in the bedroom gave the agents a close-up view of all the action. The main man behind the mirror was burly, balding crime buster George H. White, a Bureau of Narcotics maverick who made headlines breaking up opium and heroin rings in Europe, the Middle East, Latin America, and the U.S. Few knew he doubled as a CIA spook for Uncle Sam. He oversaw the San Francisco program, gleefully dubbing it Operation Midnight Climax. So that's interesting stuff. More and more that's coming out. Maybe you'll come out with some declassified stuff about my great uncle that was supposedly in that stuff. Oh boy, this is some worrisome shit right here. Because when you see how everybody acts about these gadgets now, and everything done in the sake of convenience. I mean, the implants that operate with your phone and stuff, that's here now. Oh, yeah. Implants for communication devices. Yeah, it's now here. Nokia issues patent for vibrating tattoos. Cell phone company Nokia, excuse me, has issued a patent for a material that could be attached to human skin and would vibrate to alert the wearer of an incoming call or text message. The Wall Street Journal reports the patent application filed by Nokia last September would create a material attachable to skin, the material capable of detecting a magnetic field and transferring a perceivable stimulus to the skin, wherein the perceivable stimulus relates to the magnetic field. So they want to put a patch, a vibrating patch tattoo on your body that responds to electromagnetic stimulus. Well, I mean, considering HARP and how we know they can control not only the weather, but also your mind with that. I don't know, man. I'm not really into that. I mean, I don't even have a regular fucking cell phone. I never bought one, never want one. But they're already taking it beyond that now. In other words, it would be an attachable tattoo that would vibrate in response to a signal from an incoming phone call or text message. The patent application was first discovered by the blog Unwired Views Vlad Babalenta, who writes, the tattoo would be applied using ferromagnetic inks. The ink material would first be exposed to high temperatures to demagnetize it, then the tattoo would be applied. You'll apparently be able to choose the actual image you want as a tattoo. The procedure is identical to getting that of a normal tattoo, only the ink is special. I think that this is the fucking mark. I mean, hello? Anybody but me think that sounds pretty goddamn close to the fucking
mark of the beast, motherfucker. Oh, yeah. Satan's coming and he's bringing the mark of the beast with him, baby. Oh, yeah.
Jesus. Your fucking mic is crackling there, Satan. God damn. Yeah. That's insane. Man, just not a lot of news today. What the fuck is going on with this? That email from Lori earlier where she was talking about, the Queen buying up property in Denver and all that stuff. Well, that now that we're thinking about that and that being a possibility, this makes you wonder. British Prime Minister David Cameron on Tuesday revealed that he was tucked up in bed by U.S. President Barack Obama during the pair's recent trip on Air Force One. Jesus Christ, he's going and tucking David Cameron in bed personally? Don't you give him a fucking hand jibber while you're at it? Jesus Christ. Why is it that we always kiss these goddamn Brits' asses when they come over here, when I thought we were supposedly set up to get away from the Brits? But every time one of them comes over here, boy, I mean, they have a goddamn bedroom inside of the White House called the Queen's bedroom. And it's been there since the days of old. I mean, shouldn't that tell us that, well, I mean, most of us already know this anyway, but, I mean, for the people that haven't come this far yet, shouldn't that tell us that the Founding Fathers were just as full of fucking shit as the guys who are running stuff today? I mean, they were talking about escaping England because of taxation, and yet they build the White House for the president to stay in, and they just happen to build a room in there, a bedroom in there called the Queen's bedroom. You build the Queen her own bedroom in our capital? Give me a fucking break, dude. Somebody ain't been telling the truth. I'm going to come in here and tuck you into bed there, David Cameron. Make sure you're all nice and cozy. And I can do to you what I did to Larry Summers if you want. I'm down. I could give you a hand jibber. Let's do this. God knows Michelle ain't giving him none. Who would want it anyway? Ugh. Mysterious booms baffle officials in eastern Wisconsin. A series of mysterious underground booms have been rattling a small eastern Wisconsin city for at least 2 nights, baffling residents and local officials who were left stumped Tuesday after ruling out numerous theories from earthquakes to water pressure problems. The noises, described as rumbles of thunder, sonic booms, or fireworks, are being reported in northeast Clintonville, about 140 miles northwest of Milwaukee on Sunday, but quieted down at daybreak. The sound started back up Monday night across a wider area and continued until about 5 a.m. Tuesday. There's no warning, it's just bam. And I would describe it as startling, an adrenaline rush. Your heart is instantaneously kind of racing because you're not expecting it. Local residents Al Miller said that he's been hearing rumblings for a couple of weeks, but chalked it up to thunder or didn't think much of it. But an especially loud boom woke him at around 3 a.m. Monday. My house shook, and it was just like a shock. I got out of bed, and I was like, wow, I thought that was one of my trees falling onto the house. When he went outside and saw the trees still standing, he also noticed neighbors' lights popping on because they heard it too. Harold Tobin, a University of Wisconsin-Madison seismologist, said that there are similar reports of booms in different parts of the U.S. and the world from time to time. Sometimes they're explained, sometimes they're not. It's fucking tremors, man. Big fucking worms in the ground or something. Who knows? Crazy, crazy stuff. The Knights Templar drug cartels is calling a short truce, but only to welcome Pope Benedict to Mexico. Aw, isn't that nice? So the Knights Templar drug dealers they're gonna hold off, take it easy until the fucking Palpatine, goddamn emperor, comes to visit. That's just hilarious. Yeah, not a lot of news, not a lot of real important information, a lot of stuff to get into tonight, but we're going to take a break, come back, and get into reading the end of days for you here tonight on the show. TheGlobalReality.com is my website. All right, back here with you on the Global Reality. I hate when that happens. Didn't mean to have the Satan pitch shifter on there. But back here with you on the show. Thanks so much for being here with us tonight for another live edition of the broadcast. We're going to be getting into Zechariah Sitchin's The End of Days, Chapter 16 in this segment of the show tonight. Want to thank everybody for being here with us, staying up late with us, and love you guys so much for tuning into the show and tuning into the archives and continuing to come and check out the shows every day and be interested in it. And just for always being there for what I'm doing. I appreciate every single one of you guys out there so much. You don't even know. You guys are a lot of you guys really have kind of become like family to me. It's kind of wild. A lot of you out there been listening for so long. I kind of feel like you know what I mean. I kind of feel like I've just known you guys for just forever. It's awesome. So I'm just real happy to that there are a few people. You know, I didn't get into that. I didn't get into this for that. I didn't get into this to, you know, because sometimes people get all butthurt because I don't want to be their best friend, you know, because I didn't get into this to make friends or to make buddies or anything else. But the fact that I have actually made some real connections with people, and I have actually made some real friendships and bonds with people, listeners, and some other people out there involved in this. It's an amazing thing. You know, it's amazing. I think it only happens when you're not trying to do that. You just gotta let those kind of things happen, you know. But because it's so daunting sometimes to feel like you're alone in all this, you know what I mean? When you look at how many goddamn people there are in the world and how few of us there are that know about the kind of things we know about, it's staggering. And I just honored to know that there are so many people out there who are standing with me on a lot of this stuff. And you know, there are so many new listeners, and we get so many emails every day. But our donations and our support haven't gone up. We have a few people out there in our listening audience who support us and keep us alive every month every year with their donations and all the movies and stuff. And those people who do that could really use your help. They could really use your help to lighten the load a little bit. So why don't you make a donation if you can today, now, this week, sometime. TheGlobalReality.com. We have the chip-in banner there for the bills for the month. Then we have the rest of that goal we have to meet. We're at 34% on that goal. And then we have the Rockwall film budget film that's 23%. And we need to get those fulfilled in the next couple of weeks. But I am going to be going on my trip that I have had planned to shoot for the film. That's going to be coming up in a couple of weeks. I'm totally stoked about that. But we just got to meet those goals this month. And it's been kind of slim pickings over the past couple of weeks, to be honest with you. And we just had a few people that always donate every month donating, and no newer people donating, even though we've had newer listeners. So just asking you to please help out those people if you can, okay? Thanks so much. Let's get into Chapter 16 right now. Armageddon and Prophecies of the Return. Will they return? When will they return? These questions have been asked of me countless times, they being the Anunnaki gods, whose saga has filled my books. The answer to the first question is yes. There are clues that need to be heeded, and the prophecies of the return need to be fulfilled. The answer to the second question has preoccupied mankind ever since the watershed events in Jerusalem more than 2,000 years ago. But the question is not only if and when, what will the return signal? What will it bring with it? Will it be a benevolent coming, or, as when the deluge was looming, bring about the end? Which prophecies would come true? A messianic time, the second coming, a new beginning, or perhaps a catastrophic apocalypse? The ultimate end, Armageddon. It is the last possibility that shifts these prophecies from the realm of theology, eschatology, or mere curiosity to a matter of mankind's very survival. For Armageddon, a term that has come to denote a war of unimagined calamitous scope, is in fact the name of a specific place in a land that has been subjected to threats of nuclear annihilation. In the 21st century BCE, a war of the kings of the East against the kings of the West was followed by a nuclear calamity. 21 centuries later, when BCE changed to AD, mankind's fears were expressed in a scroll hidden in a cave near the Dead Sea that described a great and final war of the sons of the light against the sons of darkness. Now again, in the 21st century AD, a nuclear threat hangs over the very same historical place. It is enough reason to ask, will history repeat itself? Does history repeat itself in some mysterious way every 21 centuries? A war in annihilating conflagration has been depicted as a part of the end of days scenario in Ezekiel chapters 38 through 39. Through Gog of the land of Magog, or Gog and Magog, are foreseen as the principal instigators in that final war. The list of combatants that shall be sucked into the battles encompassed virtually every nation of note. And the focus of the conflagration shall be the dwellers of the navel of the earth, the people of Jerusalem, according to the Bible, but the people of Babylon as a replacement for Nippur to those from whom the clock stopped there. It is a spine-chilling realization that Ezekiel's list of those widespread nations that will engage in the final war, Armageddon, actually begins with Persia, the very country which is today's Iran, whose leaders seek nuclear weapons with which to wipe off the face of the earth the people who dwell where Megiddo is. Oh, so there's Zechariah buying into the Iran wants to wipe Israel off the face of the map propaganda. Let's see how he spins this. Who is that Gog of the land of Magog? Well, that's Bush and George W. Bush, isn't it? And why does that prophecy from 2.5 millennia ago sound so much like current headlines? Does the accuracy of such details in the prophecy point to when, to our time, to our century? Armageddon, the final war of Gog and Magog, is also an essential element of the end of days scenario of the New Testament's prophetic book, Revelation. It compares the instigators of the apocryphal events to two beasts, one of which can make fire come down from heaven to earth inside of men. Only an enigmatic clue is given for its identity. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast. It is the number of a man, and his number is 666. Many have attempted to decipher the mysterious number 666, assuming it is a coded message pertaining to the end of days, because the book was written when the persecution of Christians in Rome began. The accepted interpretation is that the number was a code for the oppressor Emperor Nero, the numerical value of whose name in Hebrew, Neron Quasar, added up to 666. The fact that he had been to the space platform in Baalbek, possibly to inaugurate the temple to Jupiter there, in the year 60 AD may or may not have been a bearing on that 666 puzzle. That there could be more to 666 than a connection to Nero is suggested by the intriguing fact that 600, 60, and 6 are all basic numbers of the Sumerian sexagesimal system, so that the code might hark back to some earlier texts. There were 600 Anunnaki. Anu's numerical rank was 60. Ishkur, Adad's rank, was 6. Then if the three numbers are to be multiplied rather than added, we get 666 equals 666 equals 216,000, which is the familiar 2,160 zodiacal age times 100, a result that can be speculated on endlessly. Oh, that makes sense. So that the 666 could pertain to a Sumerian code, which pertain to some of these Anunnaki. Boy, that would make a lot of sense as to why they wanted the antiquities from the World Trade Center. They wanted the antiquities from everywhere, because they're trying to crack this. See, I get it now. Okay, they're trying to crack this code and trying to figure out who this is for this scheduled return. I bet they're trying. That's what the whole thing with the Stargates are too. They're going to open up this Stargate using this Sumerian technology, and they're going to open something up, and something's going to crawl out. They're not going to be able to fucking put back in. That'd just be funny to watch that happen, wouldn't it? Then there is the puzzle that when 7 angels reveal the sequence of future events, they do not link them to Rome. They link them to Babylon. The conventional explanation has been that, like the 666 was a code for the Roman ruler, so was Babylon a code word for Rome. Babylon's a code word for fucking America, I think. But Babylon was already gone for centuries when Revelation was written, and Revelation, speaking of Babylon, unmistakably links the prophecies to the great river Euphrates, even describing how the 6th angel poured out his vial upon the great river Euphrates, drying it up so that the kings of the east would be joined in the fighting. The talk is of a city of a land on the Euphrates, not on the Tiber River. Since Revelation's prophecies are of the future, one must conclude that Babylon is not a code. Babylon means Babylon, a future Babylon that will get involved in the War of Armageddon, which verse 16:16 correctly explains as the name of a place in Hebrew tongue, Har Megiddo, Mount Megiddo in Israel, a war involving the Holy Land. If that future Babylon is indeed today's Iraq, the prophetic verses are again chilling. For as they foretell current events leading to the fall of Babylon after a brief but awesome war, they predict the breakup of Babylon or Iraq into 3 parts. Like the book of Daniel, which predicted phases of tribulations and trying stages in the Messianic process, so has Revelation tried to explain the enigmatic Old Testament prophecies by describing a first Messianic age with a first resurrection lasting around 1,000 years, followed by a satanic reign of 1,000 years when Gog and Magog will engage in an immense war, and then a second Messianic time and another resurrection, and thus the second coming. Unavoidably, these prophecies triggered a frenzy of speculation as the year 2000 AD approached, speculation regarding the millennium as a point in time in the history of mankind and the earth when prophecies would come true. Besieged with millennium questions as the year 2000 neared, I told my audiences that nothing will happen in 2000, and not only because the true millennium point, counting from the birth of Jesus, has already passed, Jesus having been born by all scholarly calculations in 6 or 7 BCE, the main reason for my opinion was that the prophecies appeared to envision not a linear timeline, year 1, year 2, year 900, and so on, but a cyclical repetition of events. The fundamental belief that the first things shall be the last things, something that can happen only when history and historical time move in a circle where the start point is the end point, and vice versa. Inherent in this cyclical plan of history is the concept of God as an everlasting divine entity who had been present at the beginning when heaven and earth were created, and who will be there at the end of days, when his kingdom shall be renewed upon his holy mount. It is expressed in repeated statements from the earliest Bible assertions to the latest prophets, as when God announced through Isaiah I am he, I am the first and also the last. I am. From the beginning, the ending I foretell, and from the ancient times, the things that are not yet done. And equally so twice in the New Testament's book of Revelation. I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end, saith the Lord, which is and which was and which will be. Indeed, the basis for prophecy was the belief in the end, was anchored in the beginning, that the future could be predicted because the past was known, if not to man, then to God. I am the one who from the beginning tells the end, Yahweh said. The prophet Zechariah foresaw God's plans for the future, the last days in terms of the past, the first days. This belief, which is restated in the Psalms, in Proverbs, and in the book of Job, was viewed as a universal divine plan for the whole earth and all its nations. The prophet Isaiah, envisioning the earth's nations gathered to find out what is in store. He described them as asking each other, who among us can tell the future by letting us hear the first things? That this was a universal tenet is shown in a collection of Assyrian prophecies. When the god Nabu told the Assyrian king Esarhaddon, the future shall be like the past. This cyclical element of the biblical prophecies of the return leads us to one current answer to the question of when. A cyclical revolving of historical time was found, the reader will recall, in Mesoamerica, resulting from the meshing like the gears of wheels of two calendars, creating the bundle of 52 years on the occurring of which, after an unspecified number of turns, Quetzalcoatl, a.k.a. Thoth or Ningishzida, promised to return. And that introduces us to the so-called Mayan prophecies, according to which the end of days will come about in 2012 A.D. The prospect that the prophesied crucial date is almost at hand has naturally attracted much interest and merits explaining and analyzing. The claimed date arises from the fact that in that year, depending on how one calculates, the time unit called Bacton will complete its 13th turn. Since a Bacton lasts 144,000 days, it is some kind of a milestone. Some errors or fallacious attempts in this scenario need to be pointed out. The first is that the Bacton belongs not to the two meshing calendars with the 52-year promise, the Ha'ab and the Tzolk'in, but to a third and much older calendar called the Long Count. It was introduced by the Olmecs, Africans who had come to Mesoamerica when Thoth was exiled from Egypt, and the count of days actually began with that event. So that day one of the Long Count was in what we date as August 3113 BCE. Glyphs in that calendar represented the following sequence of units. 1 kin equals 1 day. 1 yunal equals 20 days. 1 tun equals 360 days, and 1 katun equals 7,200 days, and a bactun is 144,000 days, and a pictun is 2,880,000 days. These units, each a multiple of the previous one, thus continued beyond the bactun, with ever-increasing glyphs. But since Mayan monuments never reached beyond 12 bactuns, whose 1,728,000 days were already beyond the Mayan existence, the 13th bactun appears as a real milestone. Besides, Mayan lore purportedly held that the present sun or age would end with the 13th bactun. So when its number of days, 144,000, 13 equals 1,872,000, is divided by 365.25, it results in the passage of 5,125 years. When the BCE 33113 is deducted, the result is the year AD 2012. This is an exciting as well as an ominous prediction, but that date has also been challenged already a century ago by scholars like Fritz Buck, El Caliandro Maya, El de Cultura de Tiwanaku, who pointed out that as the above list indicates, the multiplier and thus the divider should be the calendar's own mathematically perfect 360 and not 365.25. That way, the 1,872,000 days result in 5,200 years, a perfect result because it represents exactly 100 bundles of Thoth's magical number 52. Thus calculated, Thoth's magical year of the return would be AD 2087. One could stand even that weight. The only fly in the ointment is that the long count is a linear time count and not the required cyclical one, so that its counted days could roll on to the 14th back tune and the 15th back tune and so on. All that, however, does not eliminate the significance of a prophetic millennium. Since the source of millennium as an eschatological time had its origins in Jewish apocryphal writings from the 2nd century BCE, the search for the meaning must shift in that direction. In fact, the reference to 1,000 or a millennia as a defining era had its roots way back in the Old Testament Deuteronomy, assigned to a duration of God's covenant with Israel, a period of 1,000 generations. An assertion repeated when the Ark of the Covenant was brought to Jerusalem by David. The Psalms repeatedly applied the number 1,000 to Yahweh, his wonders, and even to his chariots. So we'll stop right there for tonight. We're getting real close to being done with this book. Yeah, that's interesting stuff. The Return of Quetzalcoatl. Well, that's interesting stuff. I read a lot about that. I read Pinchbeck's book and on that, and I just keep running into Quetzalcoatl. Thoth. Read the Emerald Tablets of Thoth here. I keep running into that guy and that symbol, and I always felt like I've had a connection with that, with Thoth, and just always sort of had that connection with Thoth. I don't know why. It's always been my favorite. I always really liked that. And, finding out some of this stuff I found out about the rock wall now and these artifacts, and, looking at the stuff about Quetzalcoatl building Aslan, Atlantis, and him being an expert in crystal making and, crystal working and metallurgy. The two things we find that are very sophisticated in the rock wall. This artifact that was found near the rock wall that's, the elders had reported as being a representation of Quetzalcoatl. I mean, it really, it really makes me wonder, especially with some of this, the magnetism of the rocks of the rock wall having, an 85% higher magnetic field than the entire magnetic field of the Earth. It just makes me feel like finding out this stuff about the rock wall and having the resource to do this as quickly as I possibly can is very important, because, I mean, very well may be, this may be something that gives us data when we finally dig something up that tells us information about these cycles. And I think, judging by the magnetic signature of these rocks already that we've seen, and a lot of this other data that these guys won't talk about that they found, I think it's a very good chance, because I mean you can tell the length and shift of the length of time of when a pole shift happened and when another one's going to occur by doing a paleomagnetic survey on some of these rocks. And the last guy who did one got so pissed scared from what he found, he won't have his findings published until after he's dead. So I'm definitely hot to trot about getting this movie done and getting what we need to get it done, because man, oh man, I think it's going to be bigger than I even can predict. Anyway, that's all the time we have for tonight. Want to thank everybody for tuning in and being with us. TheGlobalReality.com is our website. We don't have commercials. We don't have ads. We don't sell anything here, folks. I'm not trying to get you to sell anything. I'm just trying to get you to wake yourself up and look into this stuff for yourself and push the envelope and push the conversation. Let's keep digging. But how you support my work is you make a donation through PayPal using the chipping banner, the donate button, my direct PayPal email address. If you want to do it that way, dayglow76@yahoo.com. You can become a member and get a subscription. It comes out of your bank account every month. That's on the website on the right-hand side as well, underneath the chipping banners. There's an Amazon wish list there where you can pick up an item that you can buy it there, and that'll be sent directly to me, and that's some stuff we need for what we're doing. However you want to do it, P.O. Box as well. If you can't use PayPal, it's all there. Please support our work if you can, because we hadn't got much in and hadn't got anything in this week, so please help out. My name is Josh Reeves. I love each and every one of you, and we'll see you next time. You guys have a great night. Take care.